Hello, my dear friends. They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. I would say even more than a picture. A good story is worth more than 1,000 words, because a good story is a living picture. If you want to bring out a point, a story serves that function even better than giving a long drasha. You tell a terrific story, and it drives home the point. Such is the case with a story that was told by Rabbi Luban Zatzal. He was the Rosh Yeshiva in Tarvadas. He wrote a sefer on Chumash called Atar Lamelech. It's one of my favorites from him. Rabbi was a very soft-spoken, reserved individual, but he has tremendous insight, especially about human behavior. So he tells a story. I'm going to tell you the story in a minute, but I first want to tell you the context in which he tells the story. The Chumash describes how the Jews in the desert were complaining to Moshe Rabbeinu. At first they complained about how they had to travel so many days in the desert, and then it says that they complained, Vasasuf, with the rabble-rousers. They complained about the food that they had to eat. What did they eat in the desert? They ate the mun. They said, we've had it with the mun. Bilti al man einenu. Rashi says it means, well, they ate mun for breakfast and they ate mun for supper. All they ate was mun. Mun again, mun again. They complained about the mun. And they also complained about the fact that they didn't have cucumbers and melons and onions and garlic to eat. So Rashi explains, why didn't they? The mun tasted like all foods. So if you wanted the mun to taste like pizza, it was pizza. You wanted steak, rib steak, it was rib steak. You prefer brisket, it was brisket. You like candy, sugar-coated candy with chocolate-covered nuts, whatever your heart desired. The mun tasted exactly like whatever you were interested in eating. So what were they complaining? Why is it they complained that they didn't have onions and garlic and melons? Why they let them think that the mun tastes like that? It would be the same. So Rashi says because those foods, the mun tastes like everything except for a select group of 4 or 5 foods, and that was because they cause indigestion for a woman who is nursing, and it's not good for the child, for the infant. So they were denied the taste of onions and garlic and melons and cucumbers, and that's what they were complaining about. They were so upset that the Chumash says, Vayifku, they were crying that they didn't have the opportunity to eat these foods when they were in the desert. So Rashi says, the Chumash tells that after it describes the complaints that they had, so then the Chumash says that the mun was like a crystal, and it was available all the time. All they had to do was go outside, and they were able to find the mun. So Rashi says, Misha Amar Zeh, Amar Zeh. The people who complained about the mun, they were not, when the Chumash says that the mun had all these qualities, that it looked like crystal and it was always available, that is not, those were not the complainers that said that. This is HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ru'u boi olam, amam mislonin banai. Look, people who come to the world. In other words, God's addressing the world audience. Look, mankind, look at what the Jews, my children, look what they're complaining about. Because they're complaining that the mun doesn't taste like certain foods, select group of foods, but the mun is fantastic. The mun is beautiful, it's alluring, it's attractive, and it's available all the time. So Rapam takes that phrase, look at the mankind, people who come to the world, mankind. Look what people are complaining about. And Rapam gives a number of examples where things that obviously he experienced, where people, he was Rosh Yeshiva, and his Talmidim obviously came to complain to him about different situations. And Rapam said that when they would come, he would hear ringing in his ears, look at mankind. And I would just add, why does God speak to mankind? In other words, that's because that's God's audience. We want to tell something to a group of people, so we have 5 people. God said God's audience is the whole world. He says all of mankind, all society. Take a look. Look what my children are complaining about. They're complaining about the mun. Of all things to complain about, the mun is fantastic. The mun is always available. They're always able to eat the mun. So Rapam says that he has had situations where people came to complain to him, and he hears like a baskol, a heavenly voice coming out and saying, so he gives one example. He says, somebody came to him, obviously, and complained, and he comes home at night, and the house is a wreck. The kids are playing, and the toys are strewn all over, and the wife she's busy the whole day taking care of the kids, and she didn't have a chance to straighten it up. And he's so upset that why is his wife like a scatterbrain, and she can't control the house, and she's not neat, and everything is all messed up. So Rapam says there are so many people that would give everything in the world to be able to have a spouse and to have children, and halavai that the children will make a mess in the house. That's one story that he tells. He tells a number of other stories, but he says when these things happen, he hears the basko. So he tells one particular story that I thought it's comical, but it captures so much this human deficiency where people don't have a sense of perspective, where people get focused on a thing that's so insignificant, and they allow it to destroy the entire situation. So he says you have people make a shidduch. So the Chassan's a wonderful young man, and the Kala's a terrific girl, a terrific young woman, and they both come from exceptional families. And now they come together, and the Chassan and Kala comes the preparation for the wedding, and everything's going smooth. But then all of a sudden, there's a major crisis. What's the crisis? The Chassan comes from a family where the father and mother march down to the chuppah holding the arm of their child. The father and mother hold. The Chassan is the father, one set of parents, and the Kala is the other set of parents. The Kala comes from a family, and this is maybe more of a Chassidish minhag, that the two women, the two mothers march down with the Kala, and the two fathers march down with the Chassan. So it becomes a tremendous battle, because on the one hand, the family that wanted that the two mothers should march and the two fathers should march together, they say this is a Masorah, this is the transmission that we have. This is how our parents got married, and our grandparents and our great grandparents. This is not something that we could compromise on. This is a core family value, and the other side says. Since the time our child was born, we've dreamt of being able to march down to the chuppah with our son, to be able to escort him. The two parents, the father on one side and the mother on one side. How could we give up such a special moment? And it becomes a tremendous fight in the big machok. Because obviously what happened was they came to Rapam to try to resolve this enormous problem. And Rapam says that he heard the baskol, he heard the heavenly voice crying out, Rubai Ola Mama Mislon and Banai. Is this what people are complaining about? Baruch Hashem, they're so fortunate. It's a wonderful shidduch, and the shidduch's going to be for decades. And it's not as if the parents can't be under the chuppah. They're going to be under the chuppah together, and the mothers are going to be able to walk the Kala around the chuppah, and the father's going to stand. The two fathers are going to be able to stand there. Whichever way it's going to be, that the two fathers and the two mothers, or the parents on each side. What difference does it make? Why should you allow that to spoil or ruin the chasana? The right thing to do would be for each side to say, if you prefer it this way, that's what we'll do. And the other one side, no, if you prefer, the fight should be just the opposite. Not, I want to do it like my parents did it, we have to do like our parents. It's nonsense. Do it. Each one should fight for the other one's side, because it's so trivial and so unimportant. But in the end, it ruined the simcha. That was the Rabbi Palm situation. The simcha was ruined because they didn't have their way, and because something so insignificant. And it's such a powerful picture of how people could take the best situation and spoil it, but with complaints about trivia, just like the Jews in the desert. They said they didn't have onions and garlic. Big deal. People would give everything in the world not to have to work. You go outside, the food is there every morning. All you have to do is bring it back into the house and cook it, and it tastes like everything in the world. What were they complaining about? I've quoted for a number of times the Medrash that says that when the Jews came to Yam Suf, they complained about the mud on their shoes. He said we worked with mud in Mitzrayim. That was the mortar that they used to build the bricks of the pyramids, and now we're going through the river basin was still wet. So they got mud on their shoes. This was the most magnificent, spectacular moment in not only in Jewish history but in world history. So many miracles were taking place, and a few moments earlier they said we're about to die in the desert, and there was salvation, and miraculously the waters opened up and they triumphantly marched through. What was the problem? The problem was they had mud on their shoes, and that spoiled the whole event for them. I remember I had also many experiences over the years that people were so upset and things that this was terrible. And that one of the things, again, it's humorous, but at the time it was such a monumental thing. This goes back almost 40 years. Right after I came to Or Torah, there was a family. They called me up and they said they have to talk to me. There's a crisis with their son. It's a terrible crisis. What's happening? What's going on? I said, okay, I'll come right over. I came over to the house. Who knows that diagnosis of an illness? Who knows what the problem is? So they said to me, I said, what's the problem? They said, Shana Bet. You know what Shana Bet means? Their child was learning in Eretz Yisrael. They went for a year. They made up with the child. They go, only 1 year, because you have to come back. You have to prepare. You have to go to college. You have to get an education. I understand the importance of having an education. I understand the importance of having a parnasa. I get it. But they made it the most monumental tragedy in the world. Shana Bet, that my son wants to stay another year in Eretz Yisrael, and who knows what will happen to him afterwards. And everything's going to pot. So I wanted to say to them this Rashi. I also heard the Baskol. I heard the heavenly voice say, look what people are complaining about. I wanted to tell them, you know what? I've had parents who have called me up and they're crying because their children are going off the derech, or their children are on drugs, and their children are doing terrible things. And this is what you're complaining about. You should say, Baruch Hashem, that at least and the truth is, the reason why the child wanted Shana Bet is because those are the values you instilled in them. So that's great. They took your values, and now they're taking it to the next level. Why in the world would you complain about? But this is the lack of perspective. That's essentially what all these stories reflect, is that we don't have a lack of perspective. Of course, there's always things that are not perfect. So there's always mud on the shoes, okay? But put it in perspective. Don't allow it to destroy everything. Don't allow the simcha to be ruined because there's a fight over. Sometimes it's a fight over the kibudim. This one wants more kibudim. This one doesn't want to give up over trivialities. Don't allow that to ruin the simcha. And so many times in life, things are so wonderful, and these are all gifts from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But people get bent out of shape over things that are so inconsequential and not important. And that's the picture is worth the story is worth 1,000 words. That people get so upset about all these different situations that they've just described, and they're not important. And we have to remind ourselves it happens to all of us. We all have. We get upset, something didn't go right that day, we got stuck in traffic. But I myself am guilty many times that I complain, this didn't work out. That, put it into perspective. Think about our young brothers and sisters who are in tanks in Gaza, in harm's way. Think about the families who have lost dear ones. Think about the suffering that's going on in Eretz Yisrael now, the trauma. Think how fortunate we are for all the blessings that we have, and we should have appreciation to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hakaras Hatov. You know who said all this is worthless? That was Haman. When Haman came back, to his after parading Mordechai through the streets and saying, he said, all this is worthless to me. It's the whole kingdom bowed down to Mordechai. One single Jew will not bow down. Nothing. It's all worthless to me, and that's such a terrific reflection of human nature. That when one little thing is not good, everything is terrible. So these are all very powerful and important lessons we should take to heart. Thank you for listening. I wish everyone a wonderful Shabbos.